it's actually. Okay, can you guys hear me now on YouTube? Let me get off screen so I can be embarrassed. God dang. Oh man, dude. Yes, dude. Yo, Skaters, I'm very happy to have you around your page. Very rarely find someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to Star Wars. Thank you, man. I try my best. I really do. I do. It's so funny because there's so many people that think I'm AI, but they don't know that it's actually me. Your mic is delayed with your mouth. Okay. Yeah, I don't... Buzzy, do you know how to fix that one? I think it's the delay. Let me see again. I think it's... Where's the rebuilt? 1 second, guys. Man, I can't believe how scrub-dubbed I am today. It's happening. Properties, advanced properties. I think it is the milliseconds, right? Is it coming after or before? I'm gonna try. All right, let me try to do this. All right, let's see if that works. Hopefully that'll do good, man. People who read books. Yeah, people who read books, man. What's the helmet in the top back? Oh, that's actually not a helmet. That's actually Boba Fett, believe it or not. After your mouth is done moving. Really? It's that late? So the connection OBS is fine, but the milliseconds on the microphone itself was like -3 milliseconds. So I don't know how offset that is. But that's usually the way it is. How do you pick your t-shirts? Hero versus heroes, villains. Yeah, on Instagram it's not lagged at all. It's only on YouTube. I'm simultaneously casting to both YouTube and Instagram Reels. The first time I've done Instagram Reels. Looks good to me now? Okay, cool. Cool. All right, awesome. All right. Yeah, it's heroes, villains, best Star Wars merch, man. And I'm someone that I wear a lot of shirts. I guess I sweat a lot because I live in Florida. And the quality never fades, no matter how many times you wash it. So check them out. I actually follow them. They're called Heroes, Villains, a bunch of Star Wars merch. Go check it out, fam. It's so awesome. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Definitely check it out. But thank you guys for coming here. Lots to talk about today. A bunch of stuff. Last week we had a whole hour-and-a-half lecture about the Dawn of the Sith and everything. I made a whole PowerPoint presentation, which was really sick. So really cool to see everybody coming in here and really appreciate the Sith lore. Man, I wish I had a higher thing for the phone so the phone could be up here too, but whatever. Maybe I'll stack like a book or something so you guys can see a better angle of me or something. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming in here. I hope you all are doing okay and staying away from the drama and craziness that's happening outside of, it's not really outside, inside the fandom of Star Wars these days, especially with yesterday and all the craziness that's going on. Yeah, Acolyte Season 2 got canceled, yes, and I'm sure that you guys are going to want to talk about that as well. So I guess we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Acolyte Season 2. And what I keep hearing is that they say that it was canceled because... they said that it was canceled because apparently they were getting a writer's room together for the second season, but this was like pre-production. Nothing like super, super, super crazy. And I think just because of how the season performed, they're not going to continue developing the story. For me, if you guys had seen why was Luke not affected by the Force in Force Lightning like the Emperor? Oh, let me see. We'll talk about this in a little bit, guys. Once I get to the questions on YouTube, because we have the questions on YouTube and we have the questions on Instagram Reels as well. So I'm going to try to disperse the attention as much as I can. But we'll talk about the Acolyte first. And if you guys were inside the watch parties that we had, you guys noticed that I wasn't my enthusiastic self. This channel started as a reaction channel, and a lot of people remind me because they usually think I'm the really cringy Star Wars guy that reacts a lot. Mark Hamill even talks about in the behind the scenes of the Mandalorian Season 2 about reactions. The one he's specifically talking about is me, because the video I made a while back was giving you guys examples about the reactions that he had seen. And he tweeted out one specific post, and I was in that post that he was talking about. And so a lot of people had got exposure from that one and saw me from The Mandalorian. The episode was the Rescue, Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. So a lot of people came to the channel because of that. And people come to the channel to see me get really excited. Acolyte didn't really do that for me. except for episode 5 and the finale, because we saw Darth Plagueis. Even though I have my issues with the Acolyte, I still am very disappointed at the idea of the show getting canceled. And the reason for that is because I think the choreography was amazing. I think that the Stranger, Smiler Ren, was a strong enough character that I think they could have utilized a lot more. I would have loved to see more. And of course, live action Darth Plagueis. I think live action Darth Plagueis is amazing. The fact that we even got that was insane. That was something that a lot of us, when we read that first novel, always wanted, was an idea or a show about Darth Plagueis the Wise. And the fact that we got a part of that now, you know, whatever your view on Disney Star Wars is, the potential of this and potential of more stories leading up to the Darth Plagueis novel, in my opinion, should have been the sole reason why the story should have continued. I just don't like the idea of abandoning stories because of backlash and criticism. And I feel like if Star Wars and Lucasfilm had did this as consistently as they're doing now, there would be no Revenge of the Sith. There would be no Star Wars Rebels. There would be no Clone Wars Season 7. You know, in order for you to get Revenge of the Sith, you have to get past the Phantom Menace. In order for you to get to Darth Maul returning and the Siege of Mandalore, you have to get past the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars animated show, which was not good, you know? Those first 2 seasons of Clone Wars was really hard to get used to. Attack of the Clones was one of the slowest Star Wars movies that I had ever seen, and I thought it was the weakest movie that I had seen outside of The Last Jedi, which is not my personal favorite, you know? But even still, I just really dislike how so much money is put into these stories just for them to get to pull the plug. And as a Star Wars fan, no matter what I think about said Star Wars story, I always want more. And I really hope that in the future this doesn't happen again, because it's really disheartening to see whatever side of the fandom you're from, Star Wars shows get canceled. And I think a lot of us, when we're excited or we like something, we want to see more of it. And I hope that this shit doesn't happen again, you know? That's how I feel about that. You know, but thank you guys for coming in here. Thank you guys, Texas Yankee on IG. Mikey, it's so good to see you. Billy, thank you so much. The fights were goated. Plagueis was goated. Yeah, that's where I am right now too, Jack Sky. That's usually what I am. I loved Master Indira. I loved Master Soul. And I thought a lot of the ideas for the show were great. Execution, however, didn't really do a lot for me. But still, man, I just it really sucks. You know, it really sucks because I always see the potential in things, no matter how bad they are. And I feel like I'm cursed because I know how good it can be if it's done well. But at the end of the day, things need to make money. And if they're not making money, we're never going to see them. And that's all there is to it, man. But yeah, Bugsy, I got the Blue Yeti. Yes, sir. Yes, last week was amazing. Made me learn even more. Yeah, thank you so much, Texas Yankee. We're gonna keep doing that. By Christmas, by December, I want you guys caught up to the end of the Darth Bane trilogy. Is that going to be able to happen? I'm not sure. We're going to see. But I'm going to continue to do lore for you guys. Right now, I'm creating the next PowerPoint to teach you guys and just to talk amongst it. You know, you guys are all lore experts in my eyes. You know, no one needs to know shit. No one needs to not know shit. It's fine. Whatever you guys are talking about or whatever you know, it's cool. We're just here to talk Star Wars in general, whether you love the movies, whether you hate stuff. It doesn't matter. We're just coming here to talk Star Wars and enjoy together as one. You know, so that's why I want to tell everyone from the beginning. That's why we talked about the Dawn of the Sith previously, and then we're going to get into the kind of the golden age of the Sith. That's where we are right now. And then we're going to move from the golden age of the Sith to the Hyperspace Wars, Sith War, and that's going to get into a couple characters that you know, like Udan Naga Sadow, Marka Ragnos, Frida Nad, Exar Kun, Ula Keldroma, Nomi Sunrider. A lot of people probably don't know these names that I'm talking about, but the real ones do, and the stories that are in there that ultimately influence the rest of the galaxy are going to be sick. So that era of Star Wars is going to be coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm going to try to get it by September, mid-September, maybe, hopefully. But there's still a lot of lore that I have to make sure that is completely right when I put this PowerPoint together and teach you guys, because it's got to be fun, it's got to be interesting. But to see that entire story flesh out is going to be really cool to see it all in one, man. I loved it. Let's talk about clone of Luke's missing appendage. Oh, man, that's so interesting. That whole entire thing with Leia Luke, the clone and everything in Sabayoth. Yeah, man. It was always one of the most interesting things that I had saw. And when they were talking about Grogu, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and Heir to the Empire, I thought they were going to do something like that. I thought that would have been really interesting to see if they were actually going to go balls to walls with this. But because that's one thing that I don't really like a lot about the expanded universe is the way that they can clone and then clone the Force sensitives. I don't really think that, at least to me, and the depiction that George Lucas had given us, you're not really supposed to create the Force. And I think creating the Force is kind of anti-Star Wars, as well as like the Yuuzhan Vong, which a lot of people really like, and they're kind of anti-Force, which is also something that I don't think George Lucas would have really appreciated if he was going to make his sequel trilogy. So those are a lot of like rule-breaking stuff, and I'm really glad that in Mandalorian Season 3 that Moff Gideon was trying to clone himself as a Force sensitive, and it never worked. And I don't think it should. I don't think anybody should have that right in Star Wars. But that's just my humble opinion. Definitely. Yeah, man. Cloning and Clone Squared. Yes, dude. Yeah, no Yuuzhan Vong. But I do like the Yuuzhan Vong, and I like the Grisk, too. I think those things are really interesting in Star Wars, and I think that we should continue to utilize them in Star Wars, because I think Star Wars is so confined right now into certain eras of Star Wars, and I think it would be great to flesh out more. And I think that's one thing the Acolyte did really well, is to show you what else is going on. Jedi Survivor also did that really well. I'm going to move you guys again. Sorry, Instagram peeps. Also utilized really well with the eras, because we know about the High Republic era and the Nihil, which are pretty interesting, but they're not like, they're not like the Yuuzhan Vong or something, man. God, dude, I'm trying to get this right. Maybe I'll just keep you guys like right here. I'm sorry, guys. I keep moving you around. Don't get motion sickness. Yeah, the Yuuzhan Vong are cool. I think the Nihil are okay. I think they're okay. I actually like, Jesus, I forget the Drengneer. The Drengneer were really cool. I like the Drengneer a lot, man. They were sick. Oh, Cameron, how you doing? So good to see you. Jack says, the Emperor returning in Legends is the only acceptable Force-sensitive cloning. 100%, yes. I actually love the Dark Empire series. A lot of people do not like it. And I understand, too, where they do not like it, because, people talk about a lot. They throw around the idea of, well, you're hurting Anakin's reputation. But honestly, the Dark Empire kind of hurt Anakin Skywalker's reputation before anything else, and his sacrifice, because Palpatine came back. And then not only did Palpatine came back, Luke Skywalker ended up serving the Emperor and turning to the dark side himself, almost killing Leia, almost killing Han. So it was like The Last Jedi before The Last Jedi, which I always think is really interesting, how people kind of scrutinize and criticize that movie, but then the Dark Empire series is right there. That's already done a lot of that, and the rise of what the Rise of Skywalker did. But if anyone was going to return it, it should be Darth Sidious. It should be Palpatine, Toot toot. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I love Visions too. I hope they get a third season. Visions is amazing. Star Wars Visions is incredible, man. I can't tell you guys. I feel like I'm always talking about how awesome Star Wars Visions is and how we probably need more seasons. But also, there's so many mini series. There's so many shorts in Star Wars Visions that I think could be an entire series alone. We had the Ronin that was really good, the Village Bride that was really good. What was the other one? The Elder, which was phenomenal. Elder was so good. And then, of course, the one that was like a movie was The Ninth Jedi, which I think is probably the strongest of all of them together. The soundtrack was incredible. Great premises, so far into the future that is disconnected from everything. Really great Star Wars stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Yes, I loved it. Oh yeah. Don't even get me started, Jackson Bane, man. I love Bane so much. Are you, yo, Dex, how you doing, fam? It's so good to see you, yes. Tales of the Jedi, favorite episode? Oh, okay, so the shorts, it's so funny, because when people say Tales of the Jedi, I always think I always think, the comic books, because I've been reading them again, rereading them again because of Exargoon, Ula Keldroma, and everybody, and then, Odan is getting to it. You know, you have the whole conflict on Onderon, and then, of course, you get into the Golden Age of the Sith and the Hyperspace Wars. But I think the Tales of the Jedi series, the animation is solid, and they need to start branching out more. I really hope that they branch out into like Knights of the Old Republic, or they did a little bit of the Mandoverse and Tales of the Empire. I think the best episode is probably, I don't know, the Dooku episode is really good. The final Ahsoka episode is good. What was the one with the first episode with General Grievous with Tales of the Empire? That shit was amazing. That was beautiful. That was so well done. I didn't really like Barris's arc. I just think Barris's arc was a little anticlimactic. I didn't really like how it kept us on a cliffhanger, So it was just interesting. Yeah, it was just, I thought there was a lot of interesting decisions that I didn't necessarily appreciate as much as I think people wanted me to appreciate. That's honestly how I feel, fam. But I think overall the series is good, and I think Star Wars needs more animation projects. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't. I always thought it was Tatooine for what's up, bro? Yes. Anakin's greeting to Watto. Chut. Yes. Both of you were telling me that, man. You guys are schooling me now. In my humble opinion, Palpatine was one of the best representations of the Sith, and should be, because we do have others Dark Force users. Palpatine is authentic dark side. Yeah, it's so interesting because I actually have a video coming out Thursday on my YouTube shorts about and Instagram about the most powerful Sith Lord. And a lot of people always throw around Nihilus, a lot of people always throw around Vitiate and Darth Krayt, and I think people sleep on Palpatine and his power, and I don't think a lot of people really read the Dark Empire series and what he was able to do, what he was able to destroy, especially with his Force Storm ability that literally in its base form is able to not only rip the space and time continuum and rip holes and create wormholes and stuff like that, but it can destroy planets in its base form, in its weakest form. And that's the one thing you always hear about people talk about, is how Nihilus can absorb the life force of planets and also the inhabitants, the entire populations, as well as Vitiate, draining life from an entire civilization on planets as well. So I just had to throw out there how George Lucas specifically always talks about how Darth Sidious is literally like the equivalent of the evil incarnate. Or he even names him as the devil, the representation of what the devil is in Star Wars, like pure evil. But does that necessarily mean in terms of evil, or does that also mean in terms of power? And so those are usually one of the things that I think people kind of misconstrue and get, a little overzealous when they want to say other characters are stronger than what the movie's depiction is, because the movies were created so long ago, especially the first 6. And then, of course, we see Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars The Old Republic, and what they're doing in the expanded universe is just wild. It's just obnoxiously powerful. And so, I don't think anybody's wrong, per se, when they stick to, Darth Krayt or Nihilus and Vitiate. But at the same time, too, I think a lot of people do kind of disrespect who Palpatine was, who Darth Sidious is, what he did, and why it was so monumental that Anakin Skywalker destroyed him on the Death Star, on the second Death Star. I think people kind of forget that. Why was Luke not affected by Force lightning like the Emperor? So Foster, you were talking about that quite a bit. What do you mean in regards to? Are you talking about affected in Return of the Jedi? Are you talking about something else? Because Luke Skywalker was, he was looking like a Pokemon, a water Pokemon, getting superconducted there. He honestly almost died. But what do you mean? I want to know more specifically. What are you confused about, so I can help try to understand and answer this for you, fam. What similarities, Mikey says, do you observe about Rey in comparison to her grandfather? Rey? Are you talking about About Ray and okay, so I don't know if that's a spelling error because Ray, like Ray Skywalker, or and Ray. Oh, is this a Ray Palpatine question? Is that what it is? Is that what you mean? Which I think is interesting because isn't his son is supposed to be a clone. Palpatine is supposed to, Palpatine's son, I believe. Imperial Activity fam, I think you may know this one, but I believe, if I remember correctly, from Shadow of the Sith, which is an amazing novel, by the way, guys. And if you haven't read Shadow of the Sith, please read Shadow of the Sith. It's got Luke Skywalker in it. It's got one of the best Star Wars stories. I don't want to go into detail because a lot of Anakin fans would really love what happens in that. And I believe Palpatine's son is like part of a clone or something, or he's supposed to be a clone vessel. And I think the one thing that I like about that too is Palpatine actually has another son in Legends that is also kind of similar to what we see Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. There's literally a Legends character, if I remember correctly, that is the son of Palpatine or the descendant of Palpatine, and doesn't really know that he's a descendant, and he has a one-word name. I don't even think he has a last name, and I think his name is also Ray or something like that. It's something similar. I don't know if it's like Ken or Ray, but it was a long time ago. I remember reading about that. But in terms of Ray, I think the most interesting thing about Ray and that whole Palpatine blood thing is I always liked how she was. I always liked how she was rageful. She got really angry, and that's why I always wanted her to be a Skywalker, because I thought she had a lot of Anakin inside of her, especially when she's fighting Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens, you know. And it's interesting to see now the dynamic when you watch the movies, how obviously she wasn't really going to be a Palpatine now that we've heard from everything else from production. Yes, exactly. Yes, the father of Rey was not Force sensitive. That is correct. Yes, and I think now when I watch it, I think they should have done more with the whole Palpatine thing. And I like the idea if it was planted in sooner in the trilogy. I just don't think Rise of Skywalker follows up with The Last Jedi very well. Yeah, you know, but that's the problem. If you're looking at similarities between the two characters. But I do like how angry she is. And I appreciate that because Anakin was also angry. And I think the two share that in common. But in terms of Palpatine, like who he is as a person, I don't know. I don't think there is too much outside of the way she probably moves her saber. And I'm not even sure if that was like intentional, because I don't even think J.J. Abrams was really a big fan of the prequels. And I think that's another reason why a lot of people didn't really appreciate the sequels that much, is it seemed to neglect a lot of the prequels. But that's just me. Well, now that you've talked about Palpatine's son, I'm wondering who the wife was. I blocked that profile on the dating app. Yeah, man. That is hilarious, fam. Yeah, so in my opinion, I think that it was probably Sly Moore. That is who it's always been to me. Is Sly Moore has always been. It's always been Sly Moore. You know, Sly Moore I feel like has always been a romantic interest in Palpatine. I feel like she's the only one that could really have an interest to procreate, I guess, with Palpatine. Someone like Palpatine. You know, I don't even want to think about that. You know, yeah, it's whack, dude. But I saw Foster coming here. Emperor was disfigured when he fought Mace, and yes, so that's actually a really great question, Foster. So here's the deal. A lot of people believe, including myself, that Palpatine was always disfigured. However, the fight with Mace Windu allowed us to see Palpatine for the first time disfigured. Now, a lot of fans, like I was talking about, believe that Palpatine was always disfigured because the dark side of the Force was just so strong with him. And if that is the case, Palpatine is a beast. Like, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, the way George Lucas had seen it, Darth Sidious is supposed to be the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. Greater than Vitiate, greater than Nihilus, more powerful than everybody, because of the rule of two, and he is basically the product of this 1,000-year plan come to fruition and come to manifestation. He is supposed to be the evil incarnate, and because his dark side power is so strong, his body essentially is decomposing because he's the devil, right? In Star Wars. And so because of who he is, his body is always decomposing. It's always crippled. It's always nasty, And that's ultimately why he looks the way he is. It's not necessarily because Force lightning destroyed him. It can be if you want it to look that way, but in my personal opinion, I do believe because Palpatine was the way he was, how dark-sided he was, since he's supposed to be the representation of the devil in Star Wars, this man was already decrepit and nasty. And Revenge of the Sith was basically his outing, coming out and showing who he truly was after the fight with Mace Windu. And of course, there's other examples of this in Star Wars with like Darth Malgus and other dark side users who use Force abilities so much that you see dark side degradation basically destroy their bodies slowly. Rise of Skywalker does a really good example of this when they bring back Palpatine from the dead, and he's literally barely alive because his power is so strong. The clone, the body that he is, the vessel, is just not strong enough to hold the power of him, so it's always crumbling inside of him. So that's the problem, and that's why Palpatine, in my opinion, always looks decrepit and evil. Luke is Luke Skywalker. He's basically Star Wars Superman. So I believe even if he did succumb to the dark side, I don't think dark side degradation would truly decompose him as much as the Emperor, who was literally the living vessel of that. Even Anakin had a lot of problems too, but I don't think dark side degradation would hurt him as much as it did Palpatine. And we can't truly see that because Anakin literally blew up in a damn volcano. So, yeah, it really does affect everybody differently. But I'm assuming because Luke Skywalker has that Skywalker blood, and just like his father Anakin Skywalker, he's literally a descendant of Jesus Christ, of Space Jesus in Star Wars. He probably has some immunity, and that's why he looks a lot different. That's my personal opinion. We haven't really got a lot of that in lore, in books. It's not something I feel like they talk about too much and go to. But I hope that answers your question, Foster, and thank you so much for being patient, fam. So he got disfigured and extracting so much of his force. Yeah, definitely. What is your opinion on the Wookiee's lightsaber design in The Acolyte? I mean, I don't know. We saw him for like 2 seconds and he died off screen. That's really it. Yeah, no problem, fam. And I always love talking Star Wars, man. So please, any questions? There's no dumb question. Only dumb question is the one not answered, man. Trust me, fam. Because if not, someone on TikTok or Instagram was going to tell you, and then they're going to freaking make a video about it, and it's the worst thing ever. So, yes, dude. I heard people say Shmi Skywalker, but what the hell? Shmi Skywalker? No way, fam. That would be crazy. That would be wild. I heard so much about how George Lucas does not want anybody to talk about Shmi. Shmi, 100 years before The Phantom Menace and 100 years after Return of the Jedi apparently were off limits to him. The race of Yoda, stuff like that was super secret. But this is all stuff that you hear from Paul Duncan and other people that have made these Star Wars archives and have these interviews and things like that, So it's really interesting to see what everybody's opinion and view is on that. Why does the Mortis brother look like the Grand Inquisitor? It's just coincidence. I don't even think. I think when in animation and you're creating shows, you start to repurpose and reuse assets, and I personally feel like that's the main reason. There's no theory behind that. I actually, I actually think that as we get closer and closer to season 2 of Ahsoka, and heir to the Empire, you're probably going to see different depictions of the son and the father. And, we're probably going to see, Abeloth. I hope we do. I made a video about that like 2 years ago. Hopefully it'll kick off and people will think I'm actually smart, but we'll see. Yeah, no problem, fam. Does Obi-Wan Kenobi have an offspring? Oh my god, you guys are asking all the questions today about all this stuff. So there's a lot of people that think that Duchess, Satine and Kenobi definitely did some stuff. What was the Mandalorian kid? Corgi? Korgel? Man, I can't remember. I can't remember. But people do think that they've had a kid. He's in Clone Wars. And I think it's possible. I think it's really interesting. I wouldn't say no, per se, because Jedi are allowed to do stuff. They're definitely allowed to do stuff. They just can't marry. And they can't have possessive emotions that want to own people like Anakin did. It was okay that Anakin loved, but Anakin was ultimately obsessing so much with attachment and feared to lose Padme that ultimately drove him down the dark side. So Kenobi obviously is not that person, and I probably had romantic interests, obviously, and relations with Satine, and it was definitely shown in Clone Wars. So I don't think that's not out of the realm of possibility, man. If you think, Corky Crease, thank you so much. Yeah, if you think Corky is Obi-Wan Kenobi's son, I can't tell you that you're wrong, fam. I cannot say that you're wrong. Yes, Shmi is Anakin's mom. Yes, that is correct. Yes, stop second guessing yourself. Yeah, it's not even second guessing myself. It's more so like the idea of wrapping my head around that Obi-Wan Kenobi did it, and then goes to tell Anakin, goes to tell Padme in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's the father, isn't he? Damn, I hate people that do this stuff, I just feel like it's so funny how it's just like, interesting, very interesting. That 50 Cent meme where he's like, man, I hate people that do that stuff. That's how I literally feel that it is, man. Yeah, Corky. Cal, what about Cal? Cal Kestis? What are we talking about? Are we talking about Cal Kestis? Oh, no, he's not. He's definitely not related. Prime Luke, Prime Anakin, Prime Vader. Who wins in a saber fight? Well, if it's Prime Anakin, so all right, okay. So you're talking about Prime Anakin, not full potential Anakin. Prime Luke is dispatching everybody, and I don't think it's even close, to be honest. Vader was very strong, but Vader's power was subdued because he ultimately lost his limbs and burned in the fire in the volcano, which also negated a lot of his Force power. It was even to the point where Palpatine thought that the Force was obsolete in terms of a power, to the point where he wanted to replace Vader. And that says a lot, because what was he trying to do for the first 3 movies of Star Wars? He was literally trying to groom and produce, one of the most powerful apprentices in Darth Vader. And he even thinks that Vader is going to surpass him eventually, which he doesn't, because he loses a lot of that potential. Anakin Skywalker's potential as a character in terms of power was never reached because of that, and also because he turned to the dark side. So that answers your questions about both of those characters. And Luke, Prime Luke, especially like Legends Luke, he's like Star Wars Superman. It's like crazy, bro. I remember there's parts of some of these stories where the dude is literally glowing, and he's literally a conduit of the Force, And then, of course, it's just, even with like the lightsaber stuff, Emperor Palpatine comes back in the Dark Empire series, right? And he has a perfect body, finally. He achieves the power of perfection. And it takes Luke Skywalker 3 panels of a comic book page to absolutely destroy this guy and cut his arm off. Full-fledged Palpatine in a young body destroys, he just drops Palpatine so quickly and says, yeah, light work, no reaction. O2 in the handshake. Like it's insane how strong Luke. And what's crazy is Luke is not even in his prime yet in that comic. So that makes you understand how strong prime Luke Skywalker is. Now, if we're talking full potential Anakin, no, I don't know, man. I think full potential Anakin is a god. I think full potential Anakin is literally World Between Worlds Anakin Skywalker that we see in Ahsoka. And I think his power is beyond. Like, I just literally think he's literally a god of the Force. Like, he's just so goddamn strong. So, yeah. Saminus on YouTube says, Episode 8 comes out. I've always theorized Rey was Obi-Wan's granddaughter. In The Force Awakens, he's there. He says, these are your first steps. And then I think he even says Rey. They use Alec Guinness's voice. So I don't think that was, like, wrong to assume back then. My dumbass was hoping she was a Skywalker since The Force Awakens, because I love The Force Awakens, you know? But the rest of the movies make me very sad and upset, which is fine. It's okay. I don't need to like everything. It's fine. I'm happy for the people that do like it, you know? All I know is that we need more Shin Hati. Yeah, I know a lot of people, David Torres, that really like Shin Hati. Yeah, fam. Yes, indeed. Thoughts on Kip Duran? So, I really like Kip Duran and his arc, but man, he's an asshole. The reason why he's an asshole is because he gets to a point where they start to divulge away from the Jedi Order because of the Vong War. And for those of you that do not know what the Vong War is, these beings from another galaxy come into the Star Wars galaxy, and you can't use the Force on them. So it's like they're disconnected from the Force, which is supposed to connect all living things. And it gets to a point that this new faction, right, this Ujian Vong, is absolutely beating the shit out of the Republic. The destruction of this war is so bad that people are calling out the Jedi and calling them cowards. And Kip Duran gets so freaking upset and offended that they start tweaking the Jedi code to the point where one of their first creeds in this code is that we are going to use the Force, and we're not going to be deemed as cowards. And then it starts talking about how you can use the Force no matter what way you want to, as long as you dictate action and think about the repercussions after. Kip Duran literally created a more radical version of the Jedi that eventually and tempted down to the dark side. Kip Duran does have a really great arc, but he still holds some of those ideas at the end of his arc that ultimately change the Jedi and literally create Luke Skywalker's view that they need to completely disconnect from politics and the Senate, and which is a good thing, but it's literally because of what Kip Duran does and the radical people that he created in that Jedi Order. So that's what I think about Kip Duran, is that he was such an asshole that wanted to use the Force that way that he literally changed Luke Skywalker's view of the Force to a point that he wanted to exile all the Jedi and remove them from politics. So, which sounds good, but the way he did it, not the way to do it, man. Absolutely not. Yeah, definitely not. Yes, thank you, Lord Skywalker, for coming in here. Appreciate it, man. So, Foster, awesome. You're so cool today, fam. If trained like Luke, would Leia have been stronger than Luke? Yes, absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because I think that George at one point wanted to make stories for Leia, and I think her potential is shown a lot in the Legends continuity. And I think they did a really. I think that's one of the positive things about the Rise of Skywalker is it shows you Leia's potential in the Force too, which holds a lot of value from Legends. And I think that was really great that they inserted that into the movie for the Rise of Skywalker. And I do believe that if she did train just like Luke wanted her to, you would have had another chosen one. Honestly, I mean, Luke, in my opinion, is also a chosen one. You know, he's the new hope, right? That's what they deem him as. And the Skywalker blood runs through their veins. I think all that power that Anakin has is absolutely achievable in his descendants as well. Whether it's Leia, Luke, Kylo, you know, they're all there, in my opinion, and could have that same value. But I do think that Leia probably could have surpassed him if if they really wanted to do that. And I wouldn't have had a problem with that either, honestly. Long Journey from Kessel. Yes, sir. You know it. And how about them Kessel spiders? Yeah, we ain't doing that, man. I am not a spider guy, bro. I cannot stand spiders. Also, anyone that's in here as well, go ahead and please follow the YouTube channel. Shorts come on here every day. I do the streams as well. I'm not sure if you guys are really big on the Star Wars, or Jesus Christ, the Instagram stuff, but yeah, man. The Instagram stuff has just been popping up, man, popping up. Yeah, thank you so much for joining, Virtual Justin. I appreciate you guys. All the Star Wars stuff happening here. We got about 15-20 minutes before everything else, and we're on YouTube and Instagram. So thank you guys for coming in here, doing this stuff, talking about the Star Wars stuff. I know we were just talking about Acolyte a little bit before, but we've been talking about Legends. Also, I don't know what anyone's favorite book is for Star Wars, but you can let me know. New canon. I picked up the old Legends Bane a couple months ago because I read it a long time ago. I've listened to audiobook all the time, but I also just got Revan, and I keep trying to collect more of the Legend stuff because I lost a lot of that when I was younger, so I'm trying to reclaim it. This is my reclamation because I love it. Just curious, IG-88 still around after the events of The Empire Strikes Back? Yes. Yeah. Wait a minute. Ooh. So they have the new Bounty Hunter comics. I think he's around. I think he's around. I'm trying, because I know the Bounty Hunter. Oh man, I don't know. No. I don't think IG-88 is in those comics. Valance is in there. Bosch is in there. Everybody's in there, I think, except for IG-88. Yeah, actually, I think IG-88 is still dead after The Empire Strikes Back. I don't remember any of the comics the new canon comics that have him. I actually have to Google this. 1 second, guys. Sorry. I know everybody declares themselves as a lore master, but I think that's a bunch of bullshit. No one ever actually knows everything. But I just want to make sure that if he's still alive, because there's so many stories now with the new Bounty Hunter comics, and if you guys haven't read them, they're pretty solid, man. Oh, okay. Yes, he is in the Bounty Hunter comics. I was right. Okay. Yeah, yes. All right, so he's in the Bounty Hunter comics. I just wanted to make sure. Yep. Okay. He's still in the Bounty Hunter comics. It looks like he has a Crimson Dawn arc, and if you guys haven't read the new Bounty Hunter comics, they're pretty good. There's the whole Bounty Hunter war, and Kira is a part of it from Solo, and then of course she has Crimson Dawn, of course, and then the Knights of Ren are involved, but it looks like he absolutely has it, you know. You sump Lord Dagovere, Salmon, yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because what's also really interesting is because of IG-11, and now because the two droids are so similar looking, and when I first saw The Mandalorian, I had hoped that it was IG-88 and they brought him back, you know, because none of those comics had been created yet. It's only over the last few years, the span of the last few years, where they created those comics. So I always see IG-88 in the back on Cloud City where he's dead, and I'm just like, man, that really sucks. I love that character. That character is so important, you know, to the Bounty Hunter lore and everything, especially all the roleplay games, man. Like, there's so much stuff about droids and everything, especially IG-88. You know, hashtag stand with the droids, all the stuff that he's got going on with the droid rights. So it's really interesting to see. Then I just feel like he's also a character that is very popular in the expanded universe, but like that's it. Like, there's nothing really done with him, you know. Yeah, it's just, and especially with like Sukkas and everybody else that's in Kenobi. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities for Mandalorian with the characters. Where's Bosk, bro? Why have we not seen Bosk in Mandalorian yet, man? I want to see Bosk, bro. Like, for real. Do you think the canon comics could be made into an animated series? Yes and no, because they kind of retconned the beginning of Caleb Dune's character arc. because of the Bad Batch. And the Bad Batch, obviously, it's like a soft retcon. Like, what happens in the beginning of that story still happens, but it happens in the Bad Batch now, which was completely different to that canon. But they can still do parts of that. It's just whether or not they want to waste time and resources on an era that they continuously go back to. When Bane finally fought his apprentice and lost, was it... Oh, man, Foster asking all the questions. So, Foster... All right, so everybody here, YouTube and Instagram, Foster brought up a really great question, and this is a character, Darth Bane, that's integral to the Rule of Two, because he starts the Rule of Two, okay? So this is the Master and Apprentice, you know, one to embody the power, one to crave it, Master and Apprentice all the way up to Darth Plagueis, and eventually Sidious. And I know a lot of you guys know this lore, but I'm just explaining it for the people that don't. Before Darth Bane died, he had his apprentice, Zana, right? Xana, whatever you want to call her, how you ever pronounce it. And, oh yeah, Skeleton Crew. Yeah, we'll talk about Skeleton Crew in a little bit, yeah. Right after this. So basically what happened is, you guys know essence transfer. Palpatine was probably the most popular person that used this. This is how he was able to transfer into clones and vessels to ultimately find a way to have eternal life, his own version of it, which really wasn't eternal. It was very limited. And basically, Darth Bane, the creator of the founder of Rule of Two, fights his apprentice Xana, because Xana has this time now where she wants to be the master, and like all great apprentices that are Sith, you have to destroy the master to become the master. So, in the final moments of that book and that duel, Darth Bane tries to use essence transfer against her to jump ship and control her. And there's this nice excerpt where her fingers are kind of shaking. And it's supposed to show you that she ultimately negated this attack. And now the book does this really weird thing where it kind of makes you understand that Bane is inside of her, but he has no control. So it's as if, like, he succeeded in using the ability, but not in executing the ability. And I think that's where a lot of people, I get these comments all the time on my videos about how Darth Bane is the Sithari because he's actually Palpatine because of his essence transfer. But that is not true. Because if that was true, one, we would have known about that in the previous books, in the later books, if Xana was going to write a story, or in the Darth Plagueis novel that we've seen, and there's no mention about Bane inside Plagueis or Bane inside Tenebris. It's just Tenebris and Plagueis, and then of course later Palpatine and how that story ends, you know. And Xana, in my opinion, was someone that was successfully negated the attack that Bane had, and Bane died. I don't think that Bane is in control of any of the descendants of the Rule of Two later than I believe Bane's trilogy ends where he dies. Although a lot of people like to assume, but I don't think that happened, man. Bane's strong, but he's not Palpatine. I think that's my honest answer, honestly, fam. Yo, James, the legend himself. Thank you so much for coming in, fam. Yankee says, yeah, we have to do a little Skeleton Crew talk. I hear people saying Jude Law's character isn't a Jedi. If not, who or what would he be? Okay, so I don't know too much about Skeleton Crew. All I know it's supposed to be Goonies of Star Wars, and I'm really excited but also terrified for those child actors because I don't want another Jake Lloyd situation, you know, or, you know, Kelly Marie Tran or Ahmad Best or somebody. You know, I really hope these people that get really aggressive about Star Wars, you know, leave them out of this. But with that being said, I really believe that Skeleton Crew looks really fun. It looks really different, and I'm down for that. I just hope it's good. You know, I hope it's entertaining. Because I really feel like Star Wars is kind of missing that, you know, whimsical, fun, adventure-esque type deal. And if they really nail the Goonies part, I think that will be awesome. That sounds awesome. So, who is Jude Law's character, and is he a Jedi? I think they want you to think he's a Jedi. I think he's more of an outlaw that is Force sensitive. And, this is during the Mandoverse. And if you guys don't know, we know about the Knights of Ren in The Rise of Skywalker. But there's actually another Force-sensitive faction that is out there. And they are obsessed with the dark side of the Force and Darth Vader. It's almost like they're Darth Vader servants or enthusiasts. And they're called the Acolytes of the Beyond. And they're always talking about Vader and like trying to find Darth Vader's lightsaber or his helmet and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see that. And I've always liked the idea of these people being everywhere, because in the books, what happens is there's riots on Corellia, there's riots on Coruscant, and these Acolytes of the Beyond are some of the people that are spurring these riots to happen. They go out, put themselves in like all black cloaks, they get sticks and poles and really sharp objects, and they start painting them red as if they're like these terrifying dark side rioters, and they're going around shanking people and like just going crazy, man. And some of them, very few of them, like 1%, are Force sensitive. And I think that Jude Law's character isn't necessarily one of these people. I think that he's just an outlaw that is Force sensitive, and the kids that have imagination think he is a Jedi. I don't think he's a Jedi. I think he is someone that is just trying to scheme and do his way around. Lo and behold, he gets kids in the show, and then the kids ultimately make him be a good guy, air quotes. And I think that's what he's going to be forced into the situation to do good and be a good guy. I don't think that he was a good guy, but I think that's what Star Wars is about, is becoming who you are and having an atonement, a redemption arc. Because I ultimately truly believe that's what Star Wars really is about, just like you've seen with Darth Vader, because he's the most important character in all of Star Wars for me. That's what I think Jude Law's character is, and I really hope that it is that. Skeleton Crew trailer looks pretty dope. I was surprised the Orderland spoke English. Me too, but that character looks so cute. Neil, he's so funny. He's an Orderland, yeah, and I think a lot of people also were just like taken back that he had 2 arms. Because the only other Orderland we have is Max Rebo, and he's playing with his feet, which is so weird, But it's suburbs in Star Wars. I don't mind it, but I can't hate that character, man. Whoever designed that character really wants to sell, and I'm probably gonna buy something of that character because that's how much of a freaking Star Wars fan I am. Yeah, man. This is a show coming out. Yes, this is Skeleton Crew, fam. This is going to be out in December. Definitely check it out. Should have been the Acolyte. We talked about the Acolyte a little bit before, but sad to see that it's not renewed for a second season, but it is what it is. Thought Bomb killed everyone in the cave and then some, but what happened to their souls? Great question. Such a great question. Thought Bomb is such a powerful ability, and it's so interesting. What I think people don't really know about the Thought Bomb is that the people on Ruusan were this thought, like they're literally creating a bomb with their mind, right? And it's Khan, it's Githany, it's everybody. But what people don't also know is that there are other Sith academies out in the galaxy that are also tapping into this power with Khan and all focusing on this bomb to blow up. And it's basically like a freaking nuke. I personally feel like their minds were stripped and they're probably floating around because they have to connect each other with the Force, right? And then that explosion happens, and then whatever connection that happens with them is severed and destroyed. The people that are there where the bomb is happening died instantly, gone, vaporized to nothing. But what happens to the rest of them that die off because the effort that they put in, that's really interesting. That's a theory that we could think about. And then we know about like how spirits and things like that work. And they're Darksiders, so they probably don't necessarily have eternal life like a Force ghost would. But they can stick to things like residually, like a mask, like an object, a weapon, a house, and be like spirits that are really kind of like slaves after death of their spirit. That's probably what happened to a lot of them. and then a character like Abeloth put into this, where she's literally like feasting on force sensitives and their essence, and like tricking them into thinking that she's like their savior, and then taking their appearance after she eats them, you know, and feasts on their essence and their force. That's like crazy, dude. So who knows? I don't think it was anything good for them. But we're gonna end the stream here in like 5 minutes. So if you guys got any other questions, let me know. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we're on YouTube as well. This is the first time I've done it on Instagram, but I just want to thank everybody that's coming in here. And it's been really cool seeing all the apprentices and acolytes coming into the videos. Now you guys know that I'm not some AI person, which is all I hear all the time. Every time I'm making these videos, your voice sounds like an AI. I was like, nah, bro, I'm actually real. Follow for more Star Wars content. So, yeah, dude, it's really fun. I'm just glad that I actually have people to listen to, man. I really appreciate you guys coming in here and listening to all my bullshit. It should have been the Young Jedi Knight novel adaptation show. Oh, yeah, man. I love Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, especially the video games, fam. Appreciate you all. Who is your favorite Funko Pop behind me? My favorite Funko Pop. Man, that is... Okay, all right. So one of my favorite ones is this one. Is the Mando one. Here, I got to show YouTube first, and then I got to show Instagram. I love the Mando and the Bantha, and then Grogu is riding here. I love that one. and then Force Ghost Anakin, because he's my boy. Because I'm a big Anakin boy. Yes, I love my boy Anakin. Yes. And then my boy Ronin from Star Wars Visions. Yeah, look at my boy Ronin, man. Yes. Oh my God, my boy. If you guys haven't seen Star Wars Visions yet, you gotta get in there, okay? Visions is great. And then I don't know. There's so many, man. Like I also got the Rancor one, and then I like Thrawn. Thrawn is such a freaking G, bro. Look at my boy, Mithral Naruto, baby. Yo, what you doing, man? I think that's all of them. I mean, I got so many, man. I actually stopped buying Funko Pops because I was getting too many. But I'm actually moving on to statues, so I just bought a Revan statue and Ahsoka the White. So I can't wait for those. It's gonna be sick, man. I thought it was an IG voice. Nope, it was not the IG voice. It was me coming into the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade. Follow for more Star Wars content. That's me. Yeah, man. You need to read the Ronin book. Yeah, that one's actually pretty good. Read the comics, too. The comics are solid. The comics are really good. And they use a lot of the story from the original pitch, I think, from the Ronin short from Star Wars Visions. Really awesome. Do you have the Tannerous Way novel? No, I don't have that short story. I do have the Darth Plagueis, the Reverend stuff. Well, I think I can show you guys back here my Legends collection right now. Yeah, that's all. That's my Legends collection. I lost a lot of stuff when I was younger, so I'm still trying to collect a lot of it and reclaim it. I also missed a whole bunch on my right side, but yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm all about it, man. I like all Star Wars. I mean, I don't like everything that's out, but I do my best to find things that are out, man. But hey, guys, I appreciate you. Some stream you got to do show and tell. Yes, there's so much, man, because I've made parts of it. You know, like I got the Darksaber and stuff. I got Mando's helmet. I got the little Grogu over there. But everything kind of has a story, especially with all the stuff that I've reclaimed over the years. But yeah, man, there's a lot of good stuff. And the Kintamo. Oh, wait, can you guys see the Executor back there? The Star Destroyer? Do you guys see the Executor? The Executor back there? Yes. So that was actually one of the first things I bought after I was that I finally had a house to live in. That I finally had a place to live in. And that was really cool because there was this really cool comic book store that lived next to me, and It was on sale. It was only $99. What? $99? That's so much. I know, but I'm a freaking nerd. I don't spend money on anything else, you know. So, and it was funny because online that shit was like $200. And the guy was like, yeah, we're not selling any of them, and we need to get them out for more stuff. And on top of that, they were going out of business. So I bought that thing, and I've loved it ever since. It was like the first time I got something for Star Wars in like the longest time, and that was it. Then I was addicted. I was like, wow, having shit is really cool. I like it. So yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh man. But is that the yes? No, that is the X-wing. It's not the Thrawn. I have the Thrawn. I have the Chimera as well. It's the X-wing game, the tabletop game. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but it's Star Wars X-wing tabletop. But yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, guys, Instagram, that's going to be it, fam. I appreciate you all. I'm going to see you guys next week, 8. Also, again, every single Tuesday at 8, we have these streams on YouTube. This was the first time I did it on Instagram. Just wanted to see if people come up, and y'all did. Y'all freaking killed it. Let's go. Apprentices and Acolytes coming in. So yeah, fam, thank you guys. And I'm going to see you around. I'm going to close out the stream on YouTube now because these are the homies over here. We're at almost at 7K. But yeah, man. But maybe I'll try to do the outro on Instagram with you guys and everything. But you guys know it, all right? So I'm gonna bring you to the Dark Temple. People on Instagram cannot see this, but where is it? There it is, man. Yeah, fam. Listen, guys, thank you so much. Apprentices and Acolytes always coming into the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many of the Force sensitives like yourself. I'll see you around, fam. Thank you for coming in. I'm Lord Dagovere. Deuces, baby.